as you know, a lot of people believed you were advocating for a violent response. You've clarified that now. And people are saying, is that a sincere clarification, or have you just calmed down?
It wasn't a clarification. It was a repeat. And I stand by it. I am advocating for lawful, maybe let me clarify, ruthless violence in defense of us and our own. And if you give me 1.5 minutes, I can make it crystal clear if we need to. What you're seeing with Charlie Kirk is what got through. Charlie Kirk lived under a cloud just as I have. It's the reason that I stopped doing Change My Minds, where there were 12 felonious assaults, attempts at battery, and attempts on my life. And I know quite a few, and many I don't, of Charlie Kirk. I want to be clear. I want those on the left to speak freely and to be able to host their events with minimal security as they do now for the rest of their lives. Just as surely, I want them to be deathly terrified of showing up and acting with the increasing violence as they have at our events. And that goes both ways. Hey, if there's a spat of right-wing violence that's spreading across this country, treat those people the same way that we treat yours. But you won't find it. And let me just address a couple of things here. What I think leads to violence, they'll try and blame it on Donald Trump. They'll give us a bunch of reasons. Let me be really clear here. Joe Walsh will say that this is an overreaction. He said that yesterday. He doesn't understand why this is a big deal. That's untrue. He will say that statistically more violence comes from the right. That's provably untrue. He has been stating for days that the shooter was in fact not a leftist and we didn't know. That's provably untrue. He will create a false equivalency between Charlie Kirk and the murder of the Hortmans in Minnesota. That's provably untrue. And finally, he will place blame, as the left and the spineless right does, for all of this on Donald Trump, conservatives, rising figures, and the rhetoric for temperatures in this country. That is provably untrue. Donald Trump ran on Law and Order and won because of leftist violence. All of this, let me finish with this. All of this is by design, so that the left and spineless right can make this conversation about conservatives responding to the cold-blooded terroristic assassination and gleeful celebration thereafter of a young man who did nothing more than sit down at a table and allow anyone to speak their opinion. And I know what it's like because I was in that spot. I started it, and Charlie cited it as inspiration. If I could change one thing, and I do believe that I'm partially responsible for this, I failed people. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. When I did Change My Mind and started in 2016, the idea was, hey, calling the left on their bluff, civil dialogue with anyone to the tune of billions of plays and hundreds of hours. And it got increasingly violent. And what I didn't tell people, I told people out there, go do this on your own campus, have these conversations. I advocated for it. And Charlie took it to another level. He was unbelievable at it. What I didn't do, I didn't tell people about the threats because I didn't want copycats. I didn't tell them about terrorists from Yemen through Sweden showing up in East Grand Rapids. I didn't tell them about concrete milkshakes. I didn't tell them about my tires getting slashed, about people trying to firebomb my car. And maybe if I would have picked up the phone, maybe if I would have used this megaphone to tell people it's real life out there and the left wants you dead, maybe Charlie would have had a fighting chance.
I'm glad that you played that clip and you brought this up because, again, I've always said that we have to understand that just trying to be bygones is not the way you respond to people who are crazy and violent. That you have to respond to them in a way they know they can't do this and get away with it. But Steve has a great point. He said that Kirk was inspired by him. He made that clear. He said that what he didn't do, he failed to tell them that about the responses that these people on the left have been given to him, the danger that he was under. And he said he didn't do it because he was afraid that, they encourage copycats. But by not making that clear, that we were not prepared for the crazy that was going on. And so his point is well taken. You can't respond to brutal violence with passivity, because when you do that, you encourage brutal violence, and that's what's been going on. Now, we're not, and every time you bring this up, they say, well, there's violence on both sides. Yes, there's violence on both sides, but look at the statistics. And I'm not talking about the fake statistics that's been put out there that said that the right is more violent than the left. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And Charlie and Steve brought his receipts to that discussion. But the difference is that there's much more violence on the left side, and this is very clear. No one can really deny that, honestly. And those statistics have to be made clear to the public. It is not the same thing. But he sits saying that both sides, no matter where the violence is coming from, has to be met properly. And you have to shut this stuff down before it gets out of hand, because if you don't, you're going to have a civil war on your hands.
I'm still bothered by Charlie Kirk. I'm not even going to lie. I'm still bothered by Charlie Kirk. And listening to Steve, I understand why somebody said it seems like he feels some kind of guilt, or because he feels like he should have shared all that. And it's because I know people like to say there's violence in the right. But my goodness, I have not seen a summer of love happen anywhere.
Nowhere.
No summer of love has taken place.
Never.
Anywhere.
Thank you.
And what happened to Charlie Kirk? A man that just had a microphone and having a conversation.
Never threatened anybody.
If the right was so violent, then you would have seen a summer of love,
Right.
because the
That's
man
right.
was just sitting there having a conversation,
That's
and
right.
you just didn't like what he was saying. But there's no summer of love. So the thing is, and I have to say this, because us over here, when we talk the way that we talk, we talk common sense. And
Yes.
I tell people all the time, because they come in here, they say some very hateful stuff to me.
Yes, they do.
They send some evil messages to me, as
They
my
threaten
friend.
you.
Yeah, as my friend Sack says, listen, we gonna keep FBI on speed dial for y'all. We're gonna keep FBI on speed dial. You threaten me, please believe FBI will be my friend. But the thing is, you see this and you're just like, what is going on? And y'all know I was taken back to a biblical stance, because that biblical worldview, that is honestly the demonic spirits manifesting in them. They can't even control themselves.
Yeah.
They cannot control themselves. I know I sent you, I don't know if you're going to put this one up, Wise, but where those people are in New York and they were saying F Charlie Kirk, he's a racist, blah, blah, blah. And then these kids were just having a prayer vigil at NYU, and the people were threatening to unalive them. They came to the prayer vigil
Yes.
to threaten to take their lives because they're praying.
Yep.
This is demonic. I want people to understand it. That's what it is. And the thing is, people hate truth. Demons hate truth. And that's literally what it is. Because people get upset because we tell them the truth. I don't know if y'all saw the video that I put out there where I said, Black people, I spoke to my Black people. I said, Black people, the reason why we are still in the place that we are, well, I'm not going to say I'm not going to be in that group, but others, is because we walk around with generational unforgiveness, that curse of unforgiveness. And because we walk around in that space, we can't get ahead. So all we keep talking about is, remember when we were slaves? Y'all weren't slaves. Stop telling me about slavery if you weren't there.
Never.
If y'all see the amount of hate and the hateful messages that I receive for just sharing truth and saying, listen, let's come up out from under that. Let us move in, like the word says, forgive and move on, because we can get better if we do. I got so much hate for it. I got threats thrown at me. So the thing is, I agree with him. And people don't understand. Listen, I ain't got to do nothing. Listen, if you come at me, I'm going to protect me. The Lord said,
That's right.
The Lord said to sell the cloaks and buy a sword. That's what the Lord said. The word said it.
Come on.
The word said it. So you're not going to come at me and try, but that's what I'm saying. The mental space, it's that reprobate mind, that demonic spirit in them, that's why they behave the way that they behave.
Luke 22.
And I love the fact that we showed them different, because like I said, Charlie Kirk unalived, and none of us did. All you saw was people singing, praising, prayer vigils, people honoring him. There was no violence. No violence at all. So to all my conservative people, to you, Wise, to you, Minister Denzel, to you, Mika, to you, Jay Witt, all of you that are out here speaking, just be mindful that everybody ain't right up there in the head. And it's because they're not right in their spirit. And we have to be careful around us, because we never know who's watching us, and we got to stay covered under the blood, because these people are crazy. They are.
No, that's a fact. I can definitely tell you. I get a lot of hate mail, and I do mean a lot. And I get a lot in my comment section. You know, I get called all types of jigaboos, half breed, this, that, third, all types of stuff. You know, whatever. You know, Tether, that's their favorite one.
That's my favorite one, yeah.
But you know, if the right really wanted to do something, right? We are the most and heavily armed group.
That's true.
Okay? Could just wipe all of them out. They don't have no guns. They're in Minnesota, none of these places. DC, none of them. They don't have any guns, right? So the group that has the guns are the most responsible.
Discipline. That's right.
Yeah. And to go to the Charlie Kirk point, there was a quote by Charlie Kirk that I had to correct in my video because I'm so sick of hearing people say it. They're like, well, Charlie Kirk was for, the Second Amendment. And he said, well, it's going to be gun violence. So, oh, well, that's not what he
That
said.
wasn't his point. No, it wasn't.
You have to recognize when you want something that there are things that are going to come with it. Right. We've realized that, we can go outside and do better with getting places with a car.
Right.
Right. But as it's been pointed out, 50,000 deaths
Right.
per year.
Right.
Right. You're more likely to die in a car crash
Right.
than a lot of things. So with that being said, I'm just like, okay, so you guys don't want to get rid of your cars. If I say go get rid of that Mercedes, you're not getting rid of that Mercedes, right? Nope. You're going to stand 10 toes down on it because you have, and the rest of the society has taken a stance of saying, hey, this is actually worth, those 50,000 deaths are actually worth having upward mobility. It's the same thing with guns. Yes, you're going to have crazy individuals that are going to do this. And that was Charlie Kirk's point in saying that. But again, the left, because they're so educated that they don't have common sense, so they take out context. They don't understand context for the life of me. If you say something, well, Ketanji Brown and Kamala both don't have, the capacity to do, oh my God, it's all Black women.
No, that's right.
No, I said Kamala.
Come on, break it down.
I said Ketanji.
Break it down. Yes.
So
he called them out by name.
He called them by name, and he said they don't have the capacity, which they don't, because you can go listen to a montage of Ketanji. I don't know.
That's right. Use their own statements.
I don't know. Yeah.
They don't know how to define a woman, so clearly you don't know.
She in a hearing said that I am not educated enough to define the definition of a woman. So
come on, break it down, people. Break it down.
That's what, and so when you get into Charlie Kirk, he, of course, he's a content creator. Okay. Yeah. He understands, like I said earlier, that I use certain words to grab attention.
Right.
Okay. But when you listen to the context of what I'm saying, am I wrong? Right. You can hate me. You can say I'm this, that, and the third, but am I right? Amen. And just because you don't like me, don't make what I'm saying wrong. They don't like Charlie Kirk, and they say he's a racist, and that he only talks on Black and brown people, when that man spoke multiple times about white men needing to do better, white men in fentanyl, white men in mass shootings, white men and not being good family leaders. Okay, because the liberal white woman is running amok. Okay,
absolutely.
Okay. And so he talked about bringing white men back to conservative values. He's a white man. What else is he supposed to talk about? So he can't talk about the Black community because that's racist. And then when he talks about the race that he is, the white community, then you say, oh, well, you're a white supremacist because you talk about building a white man back up. He's a white man.
You can't do nothing right.
Can't do nothing right.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's absolute nonsense. And the left is always going, and I'll land my plane here. The left is always going to use violence. This podcast right here that I do was started with my friend. She's no longer my friend. And it was all because I was voting for Donald Trump. And anytime we would have discourse on the podcast, it became increasingly violent. And I'm talking about just virtual, yelling and screaming at me. Wow, and crazy. I'm just like, you know me. Why are you yelling and screaming at me? And it's all because of the cognitive dissonance, the Trump derangement.
That's right.
Exactly. They have a hold on the 98% and the 70% of Black men that stroll to the polls behind their chicks. And they have a grip on illegal immigrants because they understand that they're destitute.
Yeah.
But they can't do nothing with us.
Amen.
So they got to do something. And if you can't beat them, then
Lie
you got
on
to talk. Then you got to talk about them.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is that anytime you start talking about holding people accountable, people are going to get in their feelings. And
right.
if you are a Black person talking to Black people about, how they can improve their plight, that doesn't require, or that doesn't say, oh, the white man has to do it for you, or it's the white man's fault that you're in this predicament. Anything outside of that, you are, a Sambo, Uncle Tom, bootleg, coon, tether, something along those lines. And if you're white and you're saying, hey, we need the Black man and woman to start, to get back together. We need to see the marriage rates increase. We need to see the out of wedlock births decrease. That is racist talk right there for saying that, hey, we need you to improve. Now, I will say this. I do wish, and I understand where Steven Crowder is coming from, in this, by saying, I really wish that I would have been a little more forthcoming, even if maybe it didn't have to be on air, but he could have had a conversation like, hey, man, these are the things that have happened to me. Right. It is crazy out here if you're going to put yourself out here in this space.
That's right. Protect yourself.
Not only do you need security on the ground, but you need security all the way around. All time. I'm sure he's probably kicking himself by not having those types of conversations. No different than when people come to me and they say, man, you got this channel, this podcast, and this thing that you're doing. And I always warn them and tell them, I was like, hey, man, you have to be prepared.
Right. Amen.
Everybody's not going to agree with what you have to say.
That's right.
And you gotta have some thick skin. And if you don't have it, you better build it. And you need to allow it to callous, because everybody is not going to agree with what you said. Some people will agree with 90% and they will unsubscribe off of 10%. You know what I'm saying? Of what you said. And they'll cuss you out and call you all kinds of names, everything but a child of God, because of one thing that they disagreed with that you said. And that's where, when you get into this, you can't, I always tell people, don't be naive. Everybody's not going to love you. And understand that. And understand that that's okay. When you put yourself out there. And I'm sure, Charlie Kirk understood the dangers. I got a chance to see some videos of him being attacked by Antifa. I got a chance to see some videos of him being attacked by different people. And what was that, maybe a month ago, at a Turning Point event where all hell just broke loose. And I think Tatum was out there and he was throwing bows, and throwing bows at folks out there. And that was just about a month ago or so, right? So, so I think he understood, what he was getting himself into. But I also understand Crowder and I understand his plight, because he's like, man, I wish I would have said something. Yeah. And I think all of us, I'm sure all of you guys all have platforms, and I'm sure people come up to you and say, hey, how can I do what you're doing? And I'll give you some game, but I'm also going to tell you, like, hey, especially if you're going to get into this space, I got to warn you, hey, everybody's not going to love you.
Right.
And sometimes it be your own folks, you know what I'm saying, that will cut you the deepest, unfortunately.
Every generation has had turning point moments that help shake society, kind of wake them up out of some of the foolishness that they're in. I believe this helped us. This is going to be our point back moment where we'll point back and remember, like, oh, well, why are there so many people engaging at college campuses? Why are there so many people willing to engage the culture in this way? Oh yeah, it was this effect from September 10th, and I do believe that's what we're experiencing. There is I don't remember where it was shared. I don't think it's just that society hates truth, and I'm not trying to parse words, but I really believe that society hates Christ, and we have to make sure that now Christ is truth, but I do think we need to properly use the proper term. Like, society hates the fact and the idea that someone would dare to stand on a college campus surrounded by his or her enemies and declare truth in the way that he did. And it was, how many times have we ever seen him do that before? Not many people who've become experts in Charlie Kirk didn't even know his name. They thought it was only James T. Kirk before then.
They right in line with those constitutionalists. Go ahead.
Right, they're right there. But they became experts by Wednesday night. So my point is, this idea that we stand on truth and we're willing to literally put ourselves on the line to stand in the place of truth, in the pocket, and just stand there and so be it. But so be it. So I don't think we're foolish or in error or anything of that nature. We are allowing people to realize that our faith is not in our rhetoric. Our faith is not in our government. Our faith is not in our ability to how quickly I can pull my weapon out. My faith is in my King. And if I am doing what I'm doing in honor and service of my King, so be it.
Amen.
I'm perfectly fine with the outcome of that. And I feel comfortable that Charlie Kirk was perfectly fine with the outcome because he was doing what he was doing in honor and respect and to his King. So I do think that we should continue to encourage and admonish and prod people to get out there and engage in the culture, whether it be like we're doing here or face-to-face or however. There's going to be some changes, though. There will be changes to this, but I don't think that change my mind, prove me wrong type of effect should stop. But it's gonna look different.
But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts? Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Join the ARP family. Buy your brother a coffee. Link in the description box below if you'd like to support the channel. I appreciate the love and support. Join us Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so